big tears of joy
Mm-hmm.
because it's so beautiful, and humans can make something wonderful if we want to. And this did the exact same thing. Instant tears down the face, tears of joy the whole time. I've seen it. I saw it 3 times in the theater. And then when I watched it for the show, I
Mm-hmm.
recorded myself to see if it would it have the same impact like on the big little screen. And yep, tears
Still
immediately
good.
down the face
Still
because it's
good.
just so beautiful and so well thought out, and makes me happy to be alive, really. Welcome to Horror Movie Survival Guide, Disco Citizens, the podcast where gorehounds
and best friends Terry Gamble
and Julia Marchesi break down a different horror movie each week,
exploring a multitude of genres, subgenres,
and subgenres,
classic and cult,
international
and underground flicks alike, determining which films are the goriest,
and offering up Horror Movie Survival Guide tips to help you
stay alive. Oh my God, Julia, it's finally time. It's happening. And of course, we're recording this right around the same time that this movie just got nominated for a bunch of Oscars, and I hope they win all of them. Julia, what are we talking about this week? Tell the people. I'm Terry,
We
by
are
the way.
talking
Sorry,
about
I'm too excited for an intro.
I'm Julia, and we are talking. This is a Horror Movie Survival Guide, and we are talking about 2025's Sinners. Title of this episode is "Be Free for a Few Hours." Tagline for this movie is "Dance with the Devil." This was written and directed by Ryan Coogler, and I have several influences that he took from Dusk Till Dawn, The Faculty, Luck of the Irish, Salem's Lot, Twilight Zone, It, etc. And this movie, I saw it 3 times in the theater,
Yeah.
and immediately told everybody to see it immediately. And it was like,
Yeah.
like calling parents, calling friends, be like, go in the theater. You have to see it in the theater. Like that's
I went and saw it opening weekend, and then I also recently, because of like all the living in Los Angeles, the spoils of living in Los Angeles, sometimes the most amazing things. I went to the head of the IMAX headquarters, over down in Marina Del Rey with our dear friend Anastasia Washington. Shout out to Anastasia for also being a stand for this movie, and just both of us posting so much content about this constantly. But she took me with her to a screening there, and I got to see like some of the editors and some of the effects guys talk about the movie as well. So I have some tidbits to share that I learned from those guys, which was absolutely incredible.
Because
Oh my
I also
gosh.
got to see Ryan Coogler speak when about Sinners at the Deadline Contenders event, and that was where he said that the Luck of the Irish was one of the inspirations, which is a Disney movie, and somebody yelled from the back room they had written that movie and like pitched that movie, and you're like, this is Hollywood, there it is, like you're like all the way around in
So
one room.
great. So great. And like that print I saw, the IMAX has never left that building. It lives there. It's like a
Wow,
test print at IMAX. So it was like the most pristine
I
like
can't.
IMAX. And I was just, I mean, it's like that screening room is not very big. And it was just like, I was just like, oh my God, to be there and enveloped in that sound and see it there. Cause I'd already seen it in IMAX before, but to see it like at the
Yes,
mothership, a whole nother experience. Oh my
incredible.
gosh. Like
So
that print has never traveled anywhere outside of that
goodness.
building.
Gorgeous. I
Yeah.
love it. You know how I feel about physical media, especially film
Exactly.
prints, right? There's
Exactly.
no better way to see it. And I love that they really pushed to see this movie on IMAX and 70 and all that kind of stuff. So this movie opens with a quote, which is very important to the movie itself, which says,
Mhm.
"There are legends of people who are born with the gift of making music so true it can pierce the veil between life and death, conjuring spirits from the past and the future, can bring healing, but it also attracts evil." So then let's give us a title card. We are in Clarksville, Mississippi, October 16th, 1932. I mean, so it really is kind of a Halloween movie, right? We got 2 weeks of Halloween going on in this movie. We're also Prohibition. Sweet. We're just going to be like right in the middle of that as well.
We got a lot going on. 1932 is a very weird, ripe, strange time in American history as well, too, to be jumping into. We're in between world wars. So we're dealing with like the Great Depression. We're dealing with a lot of um economic and social upheaval, per usual, I guess, in America every 100
Yeah.
years or so. We're we're doing our thing. And so we see, pieces of life during this era. And so we start hearing our little preacher boy Sammie, our main guy here, who is at driving up to church looking worse for wear, and shows up at his dad's church where his dad is the preacher, and he's got a piece of guitar in his hand, just the neck of the guitar, and that's nothing left, looking like he's gone through the worst night of his life, and shows up to church, and the preacher beckons him forth, "Come forward, repent, let go of that guitar, let go of that music, let go of that life," but Sammie can't seem to let it go, and, we flash back.
When you got the music in your soul, how can you let it go? That's the I mean,
This beautiful singing, that even at the church, they're singing "This Little Light of Mine," and it's gorgeous, and, they're trying to implore him to let it go and be a part of the other side, but nah, he wants it all.
yeah, and of course we have to shout out Miles Caton, who is playing Sammy Moore, who is this is his debut film, and it is outstanding performance acting and performance singing. So
What a
we see.
debut, I cannot
I
believe this is
can't.
his first, it's absolutely. His face, was made for the film, like, he's made for film, he's made for cinema, like, there's just something about him, he's just so sweet, he had perfect casting. Anyway, I don't
Mhm.
know how they found him, I think it was her, the singer, who I guess, like, he had toured with her, and so, she, I think, had recommended that he go audition or, like, be submitted for the movie. So anyway, I must say, I do know, I did dive down that, but incredible, I'm glad they found him,
And
incredible
you
artist.
know that my favorite two genres are horror and musicals. You
Yeah,
get a horror musical, I'm just so happy. I'm so happy, right? It's everything I want,
done.
everything I
We're
know,
in.
everything I love. There was an orb that just floated across your screen, by the way, as on your video, so you might be surrounded by ghosts.
Oh
Sorry
my
if
god,
you're not
incredible, they're
watching.
always here.
You could be watching on our YouTube, and you might have seen that. If you're just listening, sorry, you don't get to
You
see
missed the
it.
orb.
But
So, yes, we flash back one day earlier and to the cotton fields and, and there's Sammy in the morning, early in the morning, you can tell, like, the sun isn't quite up yet, like, the sun is breaking, and he's out there picking cotton and trying to get his allotment for the day done so that he can go do other things that day because he wants the day off because he's gonna go maybe play some music for his cousins later that day.
so let's bring on Smoke and Stack, both played by Michael B. Jordan. If he doesn't win the Oscar for this, I will fucking riot. Because wow, wow. Just two completely different people, and yet the same people. And then there's all the little details, and I've read a lot about like pointing out there, you have one of them is dressed in red, one is dressed in blue, so they're very easy to distinguish. But then they also have one of them wearing a flat Irish cap, and the other one wearing more of an Italian hat because they're both robbing from like both sides of Chicago. So I think that's some really fun stuff. It says their costumes say a lot without saying any, not saying anything out loud
They
about
give
it.
you so much story, it's so great, and also even the way they hold their bodies, you can tell who's the fighter, who's the one who's not, like, there's, like, so much difference between how he's even holding his body, but also I love this intro for the guys because we see them drive up, and there's this cigarette pass, and actually I got to hear the editor and the guys who made this movie magic happen talk about this at that talk back at the IMAX, and this is a feat of movie making, like, insanity because most times when you see 2 people who are playing the same role or say playing, twins or playing, each other or playing 2 different people in the same scene, this kind of shot is almost impossible, and it took them hours to set it up, technically to get it right because they were just supposed to do, like, 1 cigarette pass between the 2, where you see both of them touch hands, basically, they did it like 30 something times. They go back and forth sharing this cigarette, and they're just showing off at a certain point that they can do this trick, but it took so much choreography for Michael B. and his, like, stand-in and everybody to, like, line up everything correctly to get this correctly, done, which is just I and it looks seamless, it looks gorgeous. Anyway, just little things like that for all you cinema heads, you cinemaphiles, that they are playing with here is just like, mwah. Candy,
Hi
candy for the eyes.
his accent in this film is, like, one of my favorite accents ever. There's it's so great. "Now we cousins." It got this, like, crazy drawl to it. It's great. So they are meeting up with Hogwood, the aptly named Hogwood, who is the white guy who is clearly in the KKK, and they know he's in the KKK. They'll call him out, and he's like, "Nah, man. No way." You're like, "Uh-huh."
He said, "The
Anyway,
clan's dead, the clan don't exist no more," is what he tells them, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, buddy." They're like, "We're gonna give you this money for this building that we wanna buy." It's this old, place that they wanna make a juke joint. Hogwood does show up brandishing a gun in his belt, so you can see that he's, maybe, we deal with law differently during this era, for sure.
sure. But there's
Um,
also
you
they
know
know they also notice that the floor has been recently washed. Why would the floor have been recently washed? Have they pulled this trick before? How many times have they pulled this trick before? We're like, yeah, we're selling it to you. Bye. So I think that, he thinks that this is going to be an easy job, just like every other one. And it's not at all going to be that.
Yeah, and so they are, they end up, buying the stuff cash. They're like, "Well, we have enough grown ass man money," instead because they try to call him boy and stuff. He's like, "No, no, no, we're grown men,
Mhm.
and we have the money here to pay for it. And we're going to give you this money, and we never want to see you again. And if you guys ever cross our line again, you will be killed." They gives them the warning at the beginning of the movie for the clan: don't
Yeah.
cross their path ever, or
But
else
but it's great
it's
that
shot on
you have
sight.
not only do you have the vampire threat in this movie, you also have the human threat in this movie who are coming for you. So like they probably realize there's going to be a battle with that sometime either way. So that's coming sooner rather than later. But they are excited to get this thing going, even though Sammie does his dad does not want him to go, but he says, like, I've done my quota for the day. I just need like a night off and I will see you at church in the morning. And dad
Yeah.
does not like it at all. But he says, you keep dancing with the devil, and one day he's going to follow you home. So
Yeah,
that's
which is
stuck
a
in his head.
great line, which is a great, great line. But also you get that Sammy is raised and steeped in this. He knows his dad asks him to, open the Bible to help him with the sermon. And like he knows the verse off of his head already. He doesn't even need to read it. He's already got it memorized. He can probably tell you all the verses, like so many verses in the Bible without having to look in the book anymore. Like you get that he's been raised in it. He's like, yeah, you did your job, dad. Bye-bye. So he's off to meet up with his cousins, and we see our guys riding through town. The twins are downtown, and so Smoke meets up downtown, asks a little girl to help watch his truck so no one boosts it because he's got some stuff that's pretty valuable in the back. As he goes to set up the night's provisions, he wants to get some catfish. He wants to get a sign for the juke joint, and he goes to his old friends, the Chows. And Bo and Grace Chow, and they have the general store downtown. And while he's
Two
down there, though,
two general stores, which is
oh yeah,
very
one right
important.
across the street from each other. They're doing
One on
well.
the white side of the street, one on the black side of the street, and they own one on either side. And because they're Chinese, they're allowed to kind of be the middle person between the two societies, which I think is
Hmm.
they because they do this wonderful long shot of them following their daughter throughout the town, so you can like really see, okay, we're moving from this side of town. This is what it looks like. Now we move across the street, and it's a little bit different.
Yeah, separate but not always equal.
Mhm.
And so, they uh yeah, so they chart they want to get their food and provisions for the night, get the signage made. But we get each time, I love that Smoke negotiates and teaches people along the way, teaches a little girl who watches the truck. He's like, no, no, no. You don't want 10 cent, you want 25 cent. Like you want more for what you're doing, and like you need to be paid what you're worth. And he's giving this lesson along the way, which I kind of love because I feel
Yeah,
like Ryan Coogler did this multiple times in the movie, but also for the rights for this movie, he
sure.
also made a crazy negotiation as well. So it's like so interesting that it was like the meta-ness of it happening in the movie was also the lesson he's trying to give out into the world, but also what he did in real life for this film and having the rights to this IP and this property and the way he negotiated for it. So he negotiates again with Grace for the sign and for getting some flowers along with the signage, and is on his merry way to go
Until
find Annie,
to
maybe.
Well, and the little girl might start honking the horn because two people are trying to steal out the back of his truck. So he just walks on over and shoots one in the ass, and then they turn around and they know each other. And he's like, "What'd you do, man?" He's like, "Why you
Terry,
stealing
his
from my
name is
truck?"
Terry. He shoots
Yeah.
Terry in the ass, and I was like, "Oh no, why is it got to be another Terry?" But I would let Michael B. Jordan shoot me in the ass. Anyway,
Oh.
sorry. Anyway, oh, no, 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 no. Anyway, but
And he
yeah,
also shoots his friend before the
yeah.
second thief because, like, you can't say that you almost stole from me, got away with it, so sorry. But then he goes to Bo and he pays for both of their doctor bills, so we know that he
He's like,
keeps
yeah, I did.
flashing
He's
this
like, yeah.
big wad of cash around, and everyone's like, "Hey, I thought you were in Chicago. We heard you were working for Capone or working for different things." So everyone knows it's weird that they're back, but they decided that the devil they know is where they want to deal with. So fair enough.
Yeah, so you can tell that something bad happened up in Chicago, and, like, also, I think they talk about it a little bit. We get a little bit of that in one of these car rides here where, they one of the twins is talking about how, you know, Yes, it's the devil we know that's down here, but also them tall buildings and skyscrapers are just plantations built up high. And so saying that it's almost exactly the same, that you're going to contend with the same, racism, you're going to contend with the same issues of people being not wanting you to be upwardly mobile, as you try to build your own things, as, a Black American during 1932. So,
But it's also
yeah.
clear to everybody that they have clearly ripped off some gangs in Chicago, not only for the copious amounts of liquor and weapons that they have in their possession, but a giant doctor bag full of cash, not to mention whatever else they have stashed in pockets and whatnot. So they're not. Everyone can clearly see they have done well, but the money seems to be blood money
Who
of
knows
some
how they
sort.
did well.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 they're sure it's bloody money, as Annie's gonna tell, Smoke when he goes to visit her.
But I think
Um
that's why
Mhm.
everything, like, feels like it has to be right so fast, right? Because 'Cause they're like, "People are probably coming after us. We don't really
Oh,
probably have a
yeah.
long so, like, let's just get this done now."
Oh,
Because
yeah, they
Smoke
don't
wants
have
to
lead
wait.
time.
Smoke's
Yeah.
like, "Let's just set it up, and, like, next weekend we'll do it." And Stack's like, "No, no, no, it has to be today. It has to be now. Here's the message. Here's the energy." He's gonna go down to the train station and find himself Delta Slim out there playing Delroy Lindo, giving that sweet, sweet that face, that beautiful face that he gives on the screen.
Oh my god, what an entrance and what a moment. So we meet Delta Slim by the train station, and, he is playing the blues and living the blues is what he's really doing. And
Yeah.
so, because he, sees little Sammie and he, as he meets him and he's like, "You're not old enough to know anything about the blues, kid. Like, what are you talking about? You play the blues." He's like, I've lived it, like, lifetimes of blues. That's what blues is. It's not just the music, it's a feeling, it's the things that you've gone through, it's the stories you can tell, and he's got so much story on his face, and this character, he's
Yeah.
incredible,
Yeah.
incredible. I hope he wins too. He's so good. And so, he ends up taking Sammie in under his wing and going, "Okay, kid, you actually are not half bad." And, what they really get him with, though, is he has a taste for liquor. And so, Stack has brought over some of his Irish beer for him to
Which
try,
is yeah,
ice
so,
cold
well,
out of the back of his truck.
'cause you have to remember this is prohibition, right? So he's probably drinking some sort of moonshine that somebody made up, which is not tasty,
It's
but
not good.
beer he probably hadn't seen in some time, and, that's all you gotta do. So they're gonna
And Irish
start
beer he's
play
probably never had in this area. This
yeah,
is not like where the Irish have landed quite, to like proliferate in this area. And also their side of town, they probably have not gotten this over there yet. So this is like import. This was like back in the day, getting like a delicious, something or other. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is what this tastes like. Okay, this is actually good."
yeah, all I can drink all night, let's go.
Plus
Um,
$40.
yeah. So, they have a little play, so they're playing it in the train station to try to drum up some business for the night, and Stack's giving a big speech about how everybody can come down and join,
It's like a live
and he
commercial. Yeah.
yep, and who overhears him, but, Mary, played by Haley Steinfeld, who is his lost love, who is gonna come straight over to him and give it to him in his face, in front of everybody. Go, Mary, go.
She is, one to be reckoned with. She's a tough cookie. And so she basically is like, "You left me. I'm still mad." And her mother has just passed away. They just buried her yesterday. So she is got a lot of emotion at the very top for her. So she's feeling everything. And then having her past just, show up in her face like this, without coming to see her first. She's livid. But
And also says you didn't even come to her funeral, and said, like, they took them in after,
yeah.
and it's like they didn't even go wanna be there. That seems she's very, very unhappy.
Yep. So she's got a lot going on with that, but, we also meet Pearline here too, that Sammie takes a shining to, a married lady, who, he just goes, "Oh, that is it. I see her and I like it." So he gets some lessons maybe from his cousin about, maybe how to please a lady, and he is eager to try out those lessons later on that night for sure. And so we also, get,
Stack also told
cornbread. Uh-huh.
Sack also tells Sammie that he asked about their father because there was a rumor like he had died, but nobody really knew what happened. So he said that actually what really happened was that he had knocked Sack out, and when Sack woke up, Smoke had already killed his father and was burying him. So he did it to protect him because, and so they have the bond. They talk about they were in Germany fighting together in World War I. So it's like twin bond plus PTSD bond on top of one another. It's intense.
They're super, super connected twins, and so there's a lot of trauma for sure, yeah, a lot of trauma bonding that they have gone through as a team, and you
You
get
ever
that they've
wanted
been
to be?
trying to find. I did, I was always fascinated by that, I think, because of Parent Trap back in the day, that was, like,
Mhm.
very, seminal to the upbringing here, all those Disney fare, but, like, um yeah, I thought about that, I thought it would be interesting, it'd be fun. My dad has twin sisters, and, my mom has twins. They have twins on both sides of my family, so it could have happened. But
Yeah, it always seemed like it would be very
yeah.
nice to have a partner to go through life your whole life with, but then
Mhm.
also weird to be like, "Oh, somebody else has my face." So, you
Well,
know?
the cousins that are on my family are all fraternal. They're not identical, so that's a whole
Okay.
'nother thing too. So I know lot more fraternal twins, I think, than
I would
identical as well in
also,
the world.
I would like to point out, Stack's fucking cool knuckle duster knife that he has, which is really, really awesome. That's like you can punch and stab with the same thing. Very cool.
Of
And
course,
so
he's
they
an
yeah,
innovator.
yeah, definitely. And so we know that now that they have killed. They have killed before. They've been in war. They ain't no stranger to it.
They've been in all kinds of wars, street wars, all of it sounds like too. So we get Smoke getting over to the other side of town and he meets up with Annie to enlist her to help cook for them that night. But also maybe he wants to see her for some other reasons. And this is his long lost love. They had a child together who passed away. And so he leaves some flowers at the grave, the flowers that he bought downtown in his negotiation with the Chows. He leaves by the side of the baby's grave and then speaks with Annie about the juke joint, and she kinda gives him the what for, like, "Why you back in town? What'd you do?" Because she knows it had to be bad, whatever it is that brought him back, and calls that money out for what it is, blood money that he happens to have, because we see these little kids that wanna pay, with plantation dollars, which was a very real thing, so money that you couldn't really use outside of that plantation or that space, it's not really currency that can go outside of wherever area you were at, so they're out by the sunflower plantation is where they're at, um, and, so she takes the money and she's okay with it. She's like, "No, no, no. I'd rather have that money than your blood money that you're bringing in from Chicago in my hands." And he also this is where we also learn a little bit more about the spirits, and we learn that Annie's very connected, and she's says that she's been working her roots, which is part of her hoodoo tradition. And she, made a mojo bag that has been around Smoke's neck that has protected him, and he doesn't think it's done anything. He's like, "I haven't seen anything." She's like, "Yeah, because I did my job." Basically, like, the reason you haven't noticed anything bad, the reason you haven't seen anything bad lately is because I have been working everything and praying every day tirelessly for you that you would come home safe and in one piece. Aren't you back with both your arms and legs and everything still in peace? And he's like, "Well, why couldn't you do that for our baby?" And that's when it's just like, oof.
Ouch. Yeah, and then, like, on top of that, he's like, "Oh, also, by the way, I was on World War II and I saw men do terrible or World War I, I'm sorry, do terrible things." He's like, "But I never saw any magic. It doesn't exist. The only power that exists is money, and so that's all I have." And you're like, "Okay, I see that, but, her whole life is magic, and he won't accept magic. You're gonna probably have to accept some magic pretty soon in this story, sir, in about,
Yep.
4 hours or so."
Yep, or less.
Yeah.
And so but he still lets her, kind of recharge to the mojo bag though. And she's like, "You've been wearing it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I actually have kept it on." He takes it off. And she, says her prayer and refills his bag with, the roots and herbs and says a prayer for him again of protection. And so then I love that she calls him by his real name. It's Elijah and Elisha, which are Bible names for those who don't know and haven't read the Bible. And that was a whole nother story as well too, which I love the layers of that coming into as well.
They
But she
also
has
strong.
Elijah. That's what to say. I was about to get there. He says, "Elijah, what do you really want?" And he's like, "You
Oh.
you gonna make me say it? I love you and I miss you." And then she says, "Your body ain't forget me." And then they have the hottest sex scene with their clothes on. Incredible, incredible. It's so hot. It's so hot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we
Okay,
have the
let's
driving montage of everyone driving out to the juke joint right after that,
everyone
so
driving, and then
mhm.
let us meet our villain, who will be dropping into frame as if he had been flying, perhaps, and running into a people's place out in the middle of nowhere to help him because he said that Native Americans are coming
The
to get
Choctaw are
him.
coming to get him. Yep.
And so they let him in, even though, and we do get a shot of him seeing into their house and seeing the clan outfit on the guy's bed. So he knows what's going on before he even gets in the door, but he looks real fucked up. He's clearly been through something terrible.
Looks like he had the worst sunburn of his life. So this is Remmick, our Irish vampire. We don't know he's a vampire just yet, but or at least we kind of maybe do, but these people have no clue. And so he's out on these people's land, and the Choctaw are nipping at his heels. So he convinces them to let him into their house. And he's like, I'm one of y'all. I can help you. And there's these people coming behind us, these indigenous folks, and so he lures them and lets them, makes them bring him in. They've made a grave mistake. The Choctaw arrive a little bit later at the house, and they come and knock on the door, and they go, if someone was here, he's very dangerous. You shouldn't let him in your house. And if you have already, I'm really sorry. You've made a bad choice. And so they get the heck and they skedaddle out of there because they want to get home. Basically, they know the sun is going down and it's about to get worse outside if there's more of these guys out here. So Bert, the main guy of the household, all of a sudden cannot be found. His wife is looking for him and she doesn't hear a word. But maybe it's because Remmick has already had her husband for dinner.
Yeah, you do wake up quite quick after you turn into a vampire, which is delightful. Not a long waiting period. And how will these storylines converge? Let's find out. Let's go to our juke joint. We got our Italian wine, we got Irish beer, we got catfish, we got whiskey, we got everything you want, music, etc., etc. Looks like the coolest party ever.
It's looking
We
pretty
all want to be
good.
there, do we not? Everybody who's watched this movie has been like, "Yeah, I want to be in that room. I want to be in there."
Yeah, and also just, like, even on the film shoot, I wanna see on them
Yeah.
do these shots. It's so beautiful. But we also have some tensions that are already rising right away, between Smoke and Stack. We're seeing that some people are paying with real dollars, US dollars, as we call it, versus plantation dollars, and so we have a conversation as they get pulled aside, between Smoke and Annie and Stack talking about this money and, what they are willing to accept, and they are trying to let him know, like, hey, like, we really need to allow people to, this is their place to blow off steam. Like, you need to let people pay how they can pay, basically, and offer what they can offer. Um, and then we get Mary showing up at the door. And she gets some condolences from Cornbread, our door guy.
Mhm.
And he almost doesn't want to let her in, but she makes her way through. And she has some words for Stack about not being there for his mom and not providing flowers and that kind of stuff. But the twins are like, we gave her flowers while she was alive, not while she's dead. So
Yeah.
we did
And,
what we could.
she felt abandoned, and he had apparently set her up with a white guy to get married because she is partially black, but is passing for white, and wants to protect, just tells her, like, hey, I just wanted to keep you safe because he loves her, and that would never be with me. He's like, I'm never going to be safe, always going to be in trouble. And it's like, so it's this love that's greater than
Hmm.
greater than himself, that he realizes that he'll just bring her down basically if they're together.
Yeah, he had
And we
set her
get
up for life, but she says it's a life that I didn't want. I wanted you, not that. And so you get that she has a real deep love for him and like a real deep desire for him. But oof, so then we get Delta and giving Sammie the stage and, telling him to properly introduce yourself, son. Say where you're from and tell them about you before you play this song for them. So he has a song that he's written about his dad, about preacher life, and he lets him know he's from the Sunflower Plantation. He wrote this song for his papa. And so it's called I
and we
Lied
get
to You. And we get some sacred magic happening as he's playing.
Yes, Delta says it's magic what we do, sacred, and it's big. As I mentioned, musicals and horror are my two favorite genre, and for me, the pinnacle of cinema is often a musical. Like for me, whenever I watch Moulin Rouge, the can number makes me cry, big tears of joy,
Mhm.
because it's so beautiful, and humans can make something wonderful if we want to. And this did the exact same thing. Instant tears down the face, tears of joy the whole time. I've seen it. I saw it 3 times in the theater, and then when I watched it for the show, I recorded
Mhm.
myself to see if it would it have the same impact like on the big little screen, and it, yep, tears
Still
immediately
good.
down the face,
Still
because it's
good.
just so beautiful and so well thought out, and makes me happy to be alive, really.
Well, you see that what it is, it's everything everywhere all at once. It's that
Mhm.
moment of like you see the through line of time and space and human creation and human capacity for joy and for empathy and all of that coming out through art. And I think that's what's so magic about it. Like if you distill it down of like why does that feel so great? It's because we feel connected, right?
Mhm.
I think a lot of times I think it's a challenging thing sometimes to be quote unquote American, especially in this day and age. But like because so many people have given up their past or what they feel like is their roots to be part of this like new creation of America, right? Versus like acknowledging that actually we are all one part of this planet, part of this
Mhm.
universe
Sure.
across this time and space continuum. We're all the same stardust. We're all still part of this thing. We're all essentially, we are connected, and so you get to see those connections live and put together, and you see,
Yeah.
like, it's like the Charlie Day dots. You're like, "Oh my gosh, yes, that does feed into that, and that was influenced by that," but you also there's also that melting of stuff where you can't even tell anymore, where it's just, like, all just part of this, like, joyous, beautiful cacophony of music and sound that we get through the ages in this sequence that is just stunning, and I know the choreography was crazy. I know Ryan's talked about it a lot, and then his, amazing, cinematographer, like, just how they staged this shot is just incredible, and then the
Yeah.
CG and the effects guys getting in on this party, it's a lot of pieces.
Sure. It's obviously seamless, and I'm sure that, I know it's done in kind of one long take, so it's taking a lot of time, but I think it's not only the connection of all these people in this room at this moment, but it's everybody that you've ever been connected to in the past and will be connected in the future. Like, if everything was all around there, I think that's what a beautiful moment in cinema. So I feel like Sinners deserves all the awards ever just for that sequence alone. I was like, you just show me that, and I'm like, yep, everything I ever wanted in film is right there.
Yeah, it's also the love of art, like, the fact that they did do it
Yes.
in that type of a shot, do you know what I mean? They're like, the time and care it takes to do that, and them setting that all up. So we're piercing the veil, that's the piercing the veil scene where we're going, through time and space. We got, like, a Bootsy Collins, we got a DJ, we got hip hop, we got African drums, we've got, Chinese dancers, we've got, like, traditional, Asian, traditional African, like, from all these different, diaspora coming together, in this moment as Sammie plays and rips through. But this music, because it's doing such a good job of ripping through the veil, might be summoning someone a little closer to the juke than they would like, and that's gonna be our dear Remmick, is drawn by Sammie's power and his voice. Um, and so, he's gonna be coming up to the door, and Cornbread is gonna stop them at the door. But in the meantime, Preacher Boy might be making a little, progress with his lady Pearline, in another hot, hot little scene.
He's using the advice given to him earlier by Zach. He said, "You just lick like a delicious ice cream cone." And you're like, "Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
sir."
sir.
So yes, Remick and Bert and his wife show up, and they look a little creepy. Then they're like, "Yeah, this is not your kind of party, man." They're like, "Well, why not? We believe in equality. Why not?"
They
So they
seem
see
real
Mary in the
square.
back. Yeah, like, you're not invited to the barbecue. Get off. No.
They are seem so square, and then they sing this song, "Pick Poor Robin Clean," that just also just sounds like, I don't know, a song that people get lynched to. It just doesn't sound good, and this is where
I,
we get that infamous, like, tagline of where the guys where the twins ask, "Are y'all clan? Like, why are y'all out here? What's going on?" And they were like, "No, no, 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 we are actually not." And technically,
sir.
they're not anymore. They're different
Yeah.
now.
No, they believe in equality, fellowship, love, magic. And
Yeah.
I read an article about what makes him singing, like, their singing so creepy, and it's like songs that should be full of joy in life that just sound dead and mechanical, like there isn't any life to the music, which I think is really interesting. And how I mean, Ryan Coogler, every little tiny detail is going to be thought out to the nth degree, and so everything's picked for a very specific reason.
Yeah, it is really, really uncanny valley with them, and they amble away real slow. They're like, "Well, just in case you change your mind," and they walk all weird back to their little log a little further away, and they go out there and they play some music.
I did
Um
notice at this time that Remmick is wearing a wedding ring, which I didn't notice the first couple times, so I wonder
Oh.
what that's about.
Curious, now I wanna know more of his backstory. I want, like, all of them to have, like, a spinoff, like, I need, like, the
Sure.
Cooglerverse to, like, go into all of this. I want the comic books, I want, like, he needs to do, like anyway, he already knows. There's a whole a whole world that people would dive into with this.
But
Um,
I kind of like that he's resisting it, and then he's like, "I don't wanna make a sequel because that's not what this is. This isn't a series. This
no,
is just one story I wanted to tell," and to have the after doing, a lot of sort of sequel-y, franchisey stuff to be like, "Nope, that's not what this is."
even though he's done a bunch. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sure,
absolutely.
but he wants to
So,
break away from that with this, right? This is like the original idea of
mhm.
deliciousness.
It's so good. So, Mary is feeling like she could be an intermediary for these folks, and so she convinces Stack. She's like, you know what, I'm gonna go out there, see if they got real money because you guys need real money. I can tell that you are. This is gonna not last, and they've already had these conversations throughout the night of like, we did what we did in Chicago, but this money's only gonna last us for a couple more months, and we will be out again unless we figure out how to make some money here. And they're trying to do it, the quote unquote right way, by doing this, this juke and doing, running this party, but it may not be what they need. They do need real money in there. So Mary's like, I'm gonna go out and see if they got real money. I'll be back. So she goes out to go investigate and be the white intermediary basically with these folks. And they are very sweet. They are very like if you go to a new church, and they want you to really be at that church. That's what it feels like. Where they're like, "Oh yes, no, we have everything you want here." And they talk about her pain. They realize they're like, "You have a pain so deep that money can't fix it." You're there. She's like, "Yeah, how'd you know? My mom. We just buried her yesterday." And they're like, "You need fellowship and love." And I was like, "Oh, they're that." Anyway, so I just the PTSD of church going life, just all of that scene was very that. And so anyway, she, pulls away from them though because they get a little too preachy to her too, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not out here for that kind of stuff." And so she pulls out a gun on them, but it's might
Nice.
be too late as she walks away because she's already gone outside and exposed herself, and she is near some vampires, so she is about to get turned. But she ends up walking back into the juke with the money. Um,
Cornbread
but
lets her in. She's like, "Hey, you gotta let me in," and he, "Come on in. Gotta be invited in." So she comes in with
mhm,
this ancient gold and this like, "Okay, this is not real money. Where is this money from? This this money's from like ancient times."
yeah.
We do get Pearline gets her song, which is stupendous as well. And then Cornbread, unfortunately, asks Delta to watch the door for a bit to go outside and pee, and he is in the middle of peeing when he gets gone.
Yeah,
Let
also
him
very
finish
upsetting.
first.
No, they're saying his name while he's out there. He's like, It's like you hear these voices from the bushes, like while you're trying to take your piss out in the woods, and it's just not gonna go well. But we also have a fight that breaks out, trouble with some of the gamblers that are fighting. So things are starting to go wrong right now. But I also love that we have that backdrop of Pearline, dancing on stage to the Pale Pale Moon song. And I was like, ooh, Pale Pale Moonlight is not gonna go well. Then Mary finds Stack and she calls him Elias. We get his name now too. You're like, ooh, she's on a whole nother level. And she seems like, oh, she's so horny. She comes back in like a horny, horny vampire, which we love a horny vampire. Hello.
We
That's, I
do.
feel like half of our brand. We need
Mhm,
shirts that just say
mhm.
horny vampires. We love horny vampires. So she goes and finds him and throws him down in this back room and goes to town. And she is drooling. And he's like, "That's hot. You're drooling over me like that?" And she's like, "You want some?" He's like, "Yeah, give it to me." And, like, I'm like, "Oh my god, these 2, you can tell they are hot, hot, hot for each other." But she's also thirsty and ends up chomping him.
She does get
And
bit on the back of her shoulder, which I don't believe I've seen before. I don't know what kind of veins, capillaries are back there, but okay.
mhm.
So she bites him, and but they all leave him alone because they think that Sammie goes in and sees him as like, "Oh, nope, sorry." And
Didn't
then
mean to
Smells like, "No,
interrupt.
no, you need to come
Mhm.
in, go get him." And so when they get to go get him, and now Mary hightails it out of there, and poor Smoke holding Stag as he's dying, blood spurting out of the throat, the whole bit. And he
Jugular.
says, "The best thing about me was him."
These brothers. Ugh,
I know.
the love that they have for each other, even though I know it's the same person. Like, he did such a good job playing 2 different people. It's like you
Yeah.
buy it. It's so beautiful. And just, like, seeing him just destroyed in this moment. So, he's trying to make quick, decisions, but it's like they're like, "The party's over." So Slim has been watching the door for Cornbread goes and, like he's like, "Hey, party's over," tries to get all the people out of there. A bunch of people leave, but of course, they're being sent into the slaughter out there because we got a bunch of fresh vampires, that are hungry, that are waiting right outside. So everyone who ends up going outside ends up getting turnt, right? Um
Mhm.
but in the meantime, we get, Cornbread and stuff trying to come back to the door, and they're like, "Why can't you come in, buddy? What's exactly wrong with you?" But also they try to shoot at Mary, and they're like, "She got right up and left, so I don't know what else to tell you." But Annie's like, "Well, hi, I'm your resident hoodoo priestess. Hello, I have some information. Maybe we need garlic, we need wood, we need silver, we need holy water. I don't think we're dealing with haints. I think we might be dealing with vampires as the night goes on after dealing with Cornbread trying to get in and not being able to come inside anymore, and
Mhm.
being very, very weird. She's like, no, 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 you're dead. Sorry. I don't believe you're actually alive. You are not who you say you are. You're somebody else now. Sorry. Like, I'm glad she's there because if she wasn't, they would all be dead. Like,
Sure.
right away.
But it's also the horror of, Smoke hearing his brother's voice coming back and is like, "Let me out, man. I'm clearly alive." Like, and to have to fight against that. And, it's the classic, "It's not your brother anymore" kind of thing. Where like his
Yeah.
soul has been replaced and he's now part of this hive mind, which everybody gets everybody else's memories in the pack, which I think pretty cool.
Yeah, the hive mind thing is pretty cool of, like, how they're all, sharing thoughts. They're like, "Wow, this is actually kind of amazing." Like, the empathy that you could have of, like, "I actually understand, like, that's what they saw, or that's what they're seeing, or that's what they experienced, and that's what they're feeling." So it's like all their memories as well too is what they also have with each other. So it's this big, huge amalgamation of experiences. Grace wants to go out there to try to find her husband, Beau, because he has gone outside as well. And they're like, "No, no, no, lady, you cannot go out there." They're trying to keep her inside. And they also find a passed out straggler at the party and they let him outside, that Cornbread is gonna chomp a chomp. And so they're like, okay, everyone who's left in here, they do the thing kind of thing where they're like, we got to figure out who's the thing. And so they eat
Mhm.
cloves of garlic to show that they're not vampires yet while they suit up and figure out what they're gonna do next. In the meantime, Grace is losing her shit because she realizes her husband's turned. They said that they're gonna go back. Even though they tell them to go back towards town, she's like, "My daughter Lisa's downtown. Who else is in town? If all these beasts are out there, even in the middle of the night, like if we keep them at bay, what's the best case scenario? Like
Mhm.
we all wait it out and then we have to fight them again tomorrow night. Like what do we do?"
Yeah. Yeah, and Annie goes so far as to tell Smoke, "Okay, if I get bit, take me out, man. I don't wanna be a part of that. Don't wanna," 'cause she said, like, your soul is stuck in the body, so the ancestors can't reach you and this kind of thing." So, while they're in there talking about this, eating garlic, outside is a fucking vampire dance party where they are just going to town, and I was like,
The Rocky Road to
"Yeah."
Dublin, na 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 na. Oh my god, I ran karaoke for all the holidays this last year, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, but Halloween, I was at the Roguelike Tavern in Burbank, and someone came dressed looking exactly like Remmick and did Rocky Road to Dublin, and it was
Oh, he's saying it. That's
so
awesome.
good. It was so good, and everyone was like, "Yeah, na 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 na." Everyone, like, the whole place, like, lit up. It was so funny, and I wanna go to a sinner's party. I know they throw them sometimes at, like, Sassafras. We gotta go to one, and dance around.
Yeah.
But yeah. So they're having a good
Um
old party out there.
And so Remick is very clear with everybody. He's like, "Hey, just so you know, like, I just want you guys to join because it's actually better for me if you join because now you're part of this system that you've always been excluded from. And like together we have power to go through and do stuff that you don't have on their own." And he's like, also, like to Sammy, he's like, "I kind of just want Sammy because I want to be connected back to my ancestors and he can do that. So if you want to just send him out, we can go and like you don't even have to deal with it." And
But
that
we
they're not.
also find out they're not safe there anyway, and we also find out what that place was because, Bert as part of the clan, he also Hogwood was part of his family. So we find out these like actually this place that you guys bought, this juke joint, is actually a slaughterhouse. And it was gonna be a slaughterhouse again because you guys were all gonna be murdered basically. You guys were set up. The clan is gonna come back to kill you guys being here. This whole place, this whole thing that you built tonight was built on a lie. And so they hear that, and it's like, "You will never be free unless you join us as vampires and be part of this fellowshipping crew, fellowship with the devil." And Stack's like, "I will never fellowship with the devil. I refuse."
You know that I would always immediately become a vampire. That's always like, yes, I
Yeah.
don't see the problem with it. I'm all on board. In this movie in particular, I really don't understand why you would say no, especially if you're in a situation, someone like Sammie, you're like, you're working in a plantation that you're never going to be able to drag yourself out of. And you're living in a society where they're not going to treat you like a real man. But this is something where he can give them that. They can give you this power and solidarity that they're lacking. And it seems like it's a really good case scenario.
Is it though? Is it
Well,
though?
it
Do you wanna
sounds like
be in Remmick's mind? I don't know.
I don't
Do
know,
you
it's
wanna hang out with the Hogwood's family's mind? I don't think so. Do you know what I mean, though? Like, it's like, because it's like, I don't know, there's still a line of, like, he doesn't wanna have to commune with the devil in that way, like, there's gotta be something better in between. Do you know what I mean, though? Like, where it's like his dad has offered him this, like, preacher boy world of, like, you know, teetotalness and, like, denying all the good things, but it's like, this is, like, the overcorrection of the gluttonous side. It's, like, the overcorrection of, like, everything and, like, being hungry all the time and, like, all the things you have to go through, as
but
a vampire. It's not a these are not glamour vampires.
no, no, they're not, but I think, the interesting thing of this movie is, like, everybody wants something from Sammie, right? You have his dad who
Yeah.
wants him to play in the church, you have Remmick who wants him to play for him, you have the Stack twins who want him to play for them, and it's like he never really has his own autonomy, so this is why I think it's important, like, how this movie ends up the way it ends up. This poor person is being, like, it's just like even if you just look at it as, like, an allegory for the music business where you have people, the church pulling you this way and the white guy pulling you this way, and, like, everything is all, layers upon layers of
Oh, for
subtext.
sure. As an artist, absolutely. I think that they it does a really great job of, like, Remmick is more the mainstream, and, like, that's what it feels like. It's like you wanna be mainstream music, you wanna be this, like, amalgamation of pop music that just sounds like everything sounds the same, and it's also kind of lifeless. That's what he's calling you to, and I was like, "No, I
Yeah.
don't really wanna do that. I don't really wanna make that." So, um, they're looking for freedom when where they're gonna be free, and they're like, That ain't it either. That's not the way out because you're still chained to all these people when you go out there, if they were to do that. So they are like talking about what they're going to do. They're going to wait the night out in in the slaughterhouse. But Grace, again, like I said, is losing her shit slowly, actually fast. And she decides to make some Molotovs and call them in. She finally yells out and invites them all in, even though they had asked for a moment to think about a strategy. But the strategy now is all out battle warfare. So they all get their
Fucking
fight
chaos.
stances.
Chaos agent Grace coming in there just fucking it up for
Yeah.
everybody else. Good job, Grace.
So they have their
That
fight stance and they call him in. The vampires come inside and they have knockdown dragouts.
and within 30 seconds, Grace is completely body burn on fire, just like Molotov cocktailed, taking a vampire out with her, but also just dead immediately. You're like, oh, she kind of just wanted to die.
Yep.
So now we got Stack who's going to arrive back, and we're going to have Slim who's going to cut his own wrists to lure all the vampires as bait so that everybody else can get away. The martyr
He
sacrifices himself.
he does, and it's pretty sweet because you can tell he's lived his life, and he's also after earlier in the day he had talked about all the things he had gone through. We got his backstory of like being parted around by the police as like for a police band and like making a bunch of money, and playing music. And then his friends, friends getting lynched over it, other stuff that went bad along the way, seeing all his friends on the chain gang as they drove through the fields earlier that day. There's all
Mhm.
this stuff that he's lived, and he's just like, you know what? I'm rather save little Sammie and give him a chance. And that's like kind of all they as they all conspire to get Sammie out of there because they know Remmick is specifically after him. But Remmick comes right upstairs as they're trying to get Sammie out the back door, up the stairs, and he goes, "Sammie!" And it's like a very like, "Here's Johnny" moment. I was like, "Oh my God, this is hilarious." Chomping, literally eating the scenery.
Yep.
The twins fight off Remmick. They get Sammie, ends up down, fighting with Remmick down and ends up looking like he's getting baptized in the water, which also was very interesting seeing Preacher Boy trying to get his like blood baptism, basically, is what they're setting up,
Mhm.
juxtaposed to like the baptism of God and light. And so we also got the twins battling each other incredibly, and we see the mojo bag doing its work, protecting Smoke from getting killed. And you're like, oh, there it is, actually, moving around on him, and like you see it like like physically, thwarting the
But
ends. Mhm.
as I mentioned, I think more than any vampire movie I've watched, I'm like, "This makes no sense to me why you would not join your brother," because they know they have these gangs coming for them, right? Like the Italian gang and the Irish gang from Chicago are coming for them. Not to mention the KKK in only a few hours are coming for them. You have this opportunity to not only join your brother in immortal life, but also to have the physical power you need. And the more of this, the power you would have as a citizen at that time, like it would just completely change and give you so many more options because they talk about how limited they were, and now I feel like the whole world
You
would
can't
open
go
to
out
you.
during the day, you can never see the sunrise again or the sunset again.
But it's
He
also,
also just lost Annie, and he wants to be with her, and he also has set her free because he also knows you're not yourself when you are this creature. You're in a version of yourself, but you're
sure.
not the one that can connect to the ancestors anymore, and he's the one who's more spiritual and more connected than Stack was. Stack is of the world, Smoke is more of the spiritual, Holy Spirit, if you will, version of him, right? So he also, is his protector, and he promised that he would help take care of his brother forever, right? So he essentially makes himself his little mini Renfield for the day because he's gonna protect that place because we realize he doesn't kill him. He's still in there, and he's gotta be in there the next day when the clan shows up, so he actually is protecting that building when he locks it all up with his brother
Mhm.
in it, while that's all happening. So we get Sammie in the water, when he is able to grab a hold of his guitar that happens to have a silver plate on it. And we know
Yay!
silver is one of our metals that helps us with vampires, and so he's gonna slash Remmick in the head. We also get Remmick looking in crazy, full vampire-y form with the crazy nails and, like, the whole, like I love this version of him. I'm just like, "Oh, he's an old vampire." You get that now, like, he's got the
Yeah,
old vampire, like, stuff popping off of him.
because he mentions, when, Sammy starts praying and he prays along and everybody else starts praying along, and he's like, "Oh, the men who came to steal my island however many years ago, brought
In
these worlds."
Ireland,
So
yeah.
yeah, so he's there even before, Catholicism or any sort of Christianity is there, so I would say is very, very old. He does get set on
Connected to the old
fire
gods, yes, mhm.
by the sun, and the rest of the vampire clan also burn. I'm not sure why you
At
wouldn't just
sunrise. Mhm.
dunk into the water if you're on fire, but this is
I don't
beautiful.
think you can because 'cause you're still, like, you're still
It would
I don't
still
think it's
burn.
so it's look like you would just boil, but also, like, he's, already just ar halfway gone because his half of his head is already gone from the silver,
Mhm,
and not able to really regenerate from I think, from that as well too. So, it's a beautiful thing, a beautiful morning.
and, Smoke's gotta do what he's gotta do the next morning when the gentlemen all come to take them down.
They're not gentlemen, they're
He
the motherfucking clan. I'm not gonna even
No,
give them the name gentleman. It's the motherfucking clan. They show
thank you.
up, and they, come to do their job that they were gonna do. They were never gonna let these guys have the thing. They're gonna shoot it up, but you know what? Smoke has got his trunk that he had talked about earlier in the movie. It's a trunk full of their guns and weapons, basically from the war. So he has this old like World War One like freaking artillery, and he's also looks like he's got some like um mob mafia artillery as well with him in that trunk. And so he sets it up, and sets them up, to be slaughtered, as they should be, when they show up. And so he, takes out Hogwood's gang, and Hogwood is left crawling on the ground, and he comes over to Hogwood and tries to get a cigarette because that's he smoke, and he had been trying to smoke, and his hands were too shaky from the night before to actually roll his own cigarette. He gets a cigarette from Hogwood, even though Hogwood tells him to go to hell. Um, but in the midst of that, he also seeing piercing the veil and having visions so he can be connected back to Annie and his baby.
So that is where he decides to go, is to join Annie and his baby, and we will flash forward to Chicago, October 16th, same day, 1902, at Pearline's bar that Sammy now owns, and he is now a very old man, and he's going to see some old friends coming in to say
Yeah.
hi.
Looking just like they did the night he saw them many years ago, and we got the incredible blues legend Buddy Guy
Mhm.
playing, Sammie, in the '90s, and it's just, like, the sweetest, most beautiful little moment, but I love Haley Steinfeld looking like Debbie Mazar or somebody, like, straight out of
Yeah,
the '90s, like, fly girl look, and then, that amazing '90s, like,
the
sweater
sweater.
that Michael B. Jordan is wearing is so hot, just like, ugh. Anyway, they look incredible. And they come in, they hadn't seen Sammy in years. I mean, they've seen him, but Sammy hadn't seen them, because he had made a promise to stay away. But, um, Stack sniffs him. He's like, "You haven't got long in this world." He can smell that he's, getting older, I guess. I was like, "Oh, that's intense." Um,
Mhm. It's like, "I
and
could still help you out, man. You could stay like
mhm.
this forever. What do you say?" Still no dice.
And Sammy's like, "Nah, I think I've seen enough of this place. I'm good. I'm ready to not have to be stuck here anymore." And he plays a little traveling for them. He plays, on his old guitar, and Stat gives Sammy a hug goodbye. And he asks them, I'm gonna get teary eyed to think about it too. Was that the best day of your life too? And he's like, "Yeah, it was before the sunset. Like that was a perfect day." And I felt free for a little bit. And they said they all did for a few hours.
Yeah.
Yay.
But we're not gonna have just one credit scene, we're gonna have 2, because afterwards, we're gonna see Sammy singing a little bit in his father's church.
Yes, little Miles Caton, just oh, that voice, ripping through you just one more time just to make sure you know. But the song is so beautiful that they have in between too over the most of the credits as well too, in between the wrong time, when it's the right time, when it's the right time. Just it's looking for that space, like carving out space for each other. So beautiful.
So beautiful. The question is, how do you survive Sinners?
Ooh. Well, you get
Uh,
Annie to get you a mojo bag.
yeah.
That helps.
I mean,
Um,
becoming a vampire is technically surviving. You aren't dead, you're just undead,
well,
so
you're dead, but not that kind of dead. Undead, undead, you're
I
dead.
guess don't go to dodgy parties in a shack in the I would like to mention, by the way, there is a big section in the Stephen King novel It, where there
Mhm.
is a place called the Black Spot, where Black folks get together to have a party very similar to this, and the Klansmen come and also burn it down and kill a bunch of people inside. And you see Pennywise watching with delight in the forest as they just do that. So it's that,
Awful,
yeah,
awful,
terrible,
just
terrible.
awful, just awful. Um, yeah, they be burning
All right,
down shit. So, I guess don't be clan, be
please.
nice, and, I don't know, I don't know.
Okay, well, let's do some
Yeah,
gore factor
gore
then.
factor, yeah.
1, not enough blood to fill a Dixie cup. 2, a puddle of blood. 3, enough blood to gross out the average viewer. 4, a bathtub of blood. And 5 is run for the barf bag. This is a 5, all the gore you could ever want and more
And then
delicious.
some, and then some. So many beautiful, disgusting, wonderful things. Chainsaws. 1, if you're desperate. 2, barely qualifies as a horror film. 3, seen worse, seen better. 4, not too shabby. 5, fantasagorical. I'm pretty sure you all know this is a 5. Uh,
5 all around,
5.
5,
Ding,
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 ding, ding,
ding.
ding. Air horn, full 5.
Of course.
Um,
What a gorgeous piece of cinema. I think I'm so happy that it exists. And, it does ask the question, if you can't watch, if you're not seeing, if you're only listening to this, I am wearing a Twilight shirt today. And the reason I'm wearing a Twilight shirt is this, is it like a vampire movie just like, is it a horror movie just because there's vampires in it? Right. Because we were talking about, we've never covered Twilight in the show. I'm like, but I don't consider it a horror movie, but there are vampires in it. So is that automatically a horror movie like Sinners? Like, it's not really a vampire horror movie, but it is at the
but
same
it
time. And so
is.
it's also a
It's
musical,
because it's an American horror movie is what it is. It's not about the vampires being the worst villains. The worst villain that is always looming is the Klan.
Yeah.
So you get, like, more than one villain in this, so it's I think there's layers to that. What a incredible feat of cinematic goodness. Hats off to you, Sir Coogler. Thank you so much for
Yes.
making this movie. I really appreciate you, and, if you have other suggestions for us out there, all of our fans, listeners, viewers, hit us up on all the things: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the platforms of your heart's desire. Like, follow, subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already, and buy
We
some
have a
merch on our
Patreon.
Teespring,
We have a
Patreon.
Teespring. I have 2 other podcasts that I'm on: Losers Club, all about Stephen King, and JodoWOWsky, all about Alejandro Jodorowsky and his works. I also have made 2 films out of print and Stephen King adaptation, I Know What You Need. If you would like to watch them, let me know.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking to me about this super rad movie today. Nothing I'd rather do than talk about Sinners with my bestie.
Oh my God, Julia, I can't believe, like, anyway, I'm so glad we finally got to cover it. I know we both
One of
were obsessed
and
when
a
it came
long
out. We both, yeah.
a long episode as well. Like, we have been, thank you for all listening. We've been talking, enjoying ourselves. Hope you've enjoyed yourself as well.
Well, you can tell we really love it. When we were
Yeah.
obsessed, I feel like the episodes run a little long, but this one was like, it deserves it. So thank you
Yes,
again so
definitely.
much. All right, have a great day, and we
We
wish you all the best luck and wish you all the best luck.
Yes, win all the awards, sinners.
All the
Win them
awards.
all.
Get them.
Thank you for listening. Horror Movie Survival Guide is independently produced by Terry Gamble, Julia Marchesi, and Sierra Ryan. Hey, that's me. If you would like to support the show, find us on patreon.com/horror movie survival guide.